morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Can you hear me all right? Okay. If I could have everyone's attention, we're going to get underway. I'd like to welcome to our 18th annual meeting of membership. Carla, perfect timing. Thank you all for being here as we end 2019 and prepare for 2020. My name is Rob Burns, I'm president of the organization, and now I would like to introduce and turn this over to Debbie Becker, the chair of the board of directors. Debbie.
Welcome to our 18th annual membership meeting. It's wonderful to see so many people, and this location is really beautiful and so festive. So hopefully we're helping everybody get into the holiday spirit. I've been privileged to chair this organization for 11 plus years, and it's really been a pleasure to get to know the community, business members, residents, other property owners. We have a fabulous board of directors. And before I go any further, let me just ask everyone on the board of directors to please stand. Our board is totally voluntary, and the board members, we have a requirement that everybody belong to at least one committee, and I have to tell you that all our board members are very active and take their roles very seriously, and it's really terrific. A business improvement district is when really a public-private partnership, and I think East Midtown really is a wonderful example of that. First of all, before I go any further on the board of directors, I also want to give a shout out to Rob Burns to do a wonderful job and really make all of us on the board of directors look good. We have some new members joining our board. Is Ryan Fold here? Ryan's not here. Okay, Chesterfield, America. They're redeveloping 550 Madison Avenue. Chris Lindo. Is Chris Lindo here? Okay. Hopefully we'll get a better turnout when we call some meetings. Chris is with Hines, and they manage 527 Madison Avenue. Giovanni Miranda of Caligaris. Giovanni here? Great, thank you. Giovanni's been very active in our programming, and we're happy to have you join the board. Frank Lucci and Michael Eisenberg of Schoolcatch. Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Well, welcome. A relatively new business in East Midtown, and they've jumped right in as active participants in the bid. Just so you know, our board of directors is really a wonderful mix of large and small property owners, community members, residents, retailers, hotel operators, we have a theater group. It's a real mix, and we welcome anybody from the community who has some ideas, is interested in participating. Please, if you think if you live or work in the area and you want to join the board or get involved in it, please contact Rob, and we'll try to make that happen. And even if you're not eligible to be a member of the board, we still welcome participation from everyone in the community. In our annual report, which you all should have been given when you arrived, you'll see a rundown of some of our accomplishments, some of our events that we've done the past year. Some of them are ongoing projects, and what we did for World Pride was new. I'm not going to go into detail because Sarah will fill you in more, but I have to tell you, Trick or Treat in Midtown is really special. And it's one of my favorite days. to see all these families walking around happy, and it was probably, you could argue, the most commercial neighborhood. It's a wonderful accomplishment, and you should be very proud. I'm also very proud of the relationship we have with the Doe Fund and the BRC, and it's wonderful to be part of an organization that's not only concerned with developing business and helping the business community, but also giving back and helping those who could use a little hand up. Anyway, I'm stepping down as the chair.
No.
This is my last meeting as chair. Just personal and business commitments. It's time, but assuming board approval, I'm turning you over in great hands to Steve Cherniak with CSR program. Steve will do a great job. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone, from the staff of the bid to the Doe Fund, the BRC, the security officers, and everybody in the community. It's really been a rewarding experience. I've met a lot of people I never would have met in my insular real estate world, and I have to tell you, it opens up your eyes, and in this environment where there's so much contention, and if you don't agree with somebody, you're the enemy. It's been wonderful to sit at meetings and really have an exchange of ideas and see things from different people's perspectives. It really works. I wish more people would try it. So for that, I'm very grateful, and I know that will continue. And I thank everybody for the opportunity. It's been wonderful.
And I know I speak for everyone in this room. Can I have that, Jim? Thank you. I know I speak for everyone in this room when I thank Debbie for 11 and a half years of excellent service to this community and leadership of this organization. I can honestly say that when she became chair, it was a sea change in how we were perceived in the community, and we're only going to grow stronger with pending your votes and pending board approval with Steve's leadership and the new set of officers. So thank you, Debbie. I'm going to save any of my other remarks for later in the meeting. First of all, I want to make sure when you came in, those of you who are registered Class A, Class B, or Class E members should have gotten a ballot. That's if you are a registered property owner, business owner, or business representative, I should say, or a community member. There should have been an envelope with your name. There is no election this year for residents, so if you're a residential member, next year. But if you did not get a ballot, please let me know as soon as possible during this meeting, and we'll make sure you get your ballot so you can vote, which is a nice segue to bring up the chair of our nominating committee, Carla Kudetsky. Carla.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're glad you're all here. Happy holidays. Again, we want to thank Debbie Becker because it's been a great experience. Thank you so much. And welcome, Steve, as the new chair. As chair of the nominating committee, I would like to put the names of the following candidates for the board of directors before the membership for the election. With these nominees, the East Midtown Partnership will have the largest and most diverse board of directors in its 18-year history. And more than 1/4 of the commercial property in the district will continue to be represented on the board, which is a great thing. The nominees are, Class A nominee property owners are Brian Barron, 59 East 59 Theaters, Shane Cookman, Fitzpatrick Manhattan Hotel, George Kurth, alternate, Martin Dresner of Warnado Realty Trust, Brad Leader as the alternate, Debbie Fector of Digby Management, Ryan Fold of Chesterfield, America, Paul Apollonio as the alternate, Michael Cavini of Waterman Properties LLC, Chris Linville of Hines, Deanna Margulies of MacArthur Management, Martin McGrath of GFP Real Estate, Brian Steinwurzel is alternate, Stephen Muller of Aris Property Group, and Robert Steinman of Ruby Management Incorporated. Class B nominees, commercial tenants, David Brooks of Just Bulbs, Giovanni Miranda of Cali Garris, Frank Bellucci of Sweet Catch Poke, Michael Eisenberg is the alternate. Class E nominees, non-voting, N. Barry Schneider of the East 60s Neighborhood Association, David Gillespie as the alternate. There is no election for Class C residential directors this year, and please mark your ballots and hand them to the uniformed security officer. If you did not receive a ballot, when you check in, raise your hand and an officer will give you one. And thank you very much and happy voting.
Thank you, Carla. We are taking the agenda, as I have to remind everyone every year at these meetings, we at East Midtown Partnership consider agendas to be suggestions. So we're taking things a little out of order to accommodate scheduling. I'm going to go right now to financial review. Our treasurer, Rob Steinman, is oh, by the way, 1 second, please. Security officers, could you collect ballots, please? Every year. Our treasurer, Rob Steinman, is traveling at this very moment, so he's unable to join us. So, since I prepared the notes for him anyway, I can take over. Let me just start with the fact that East Midtown Partnership's finances are overseen by the 13-member Finance Committee. Each month they scrutinize the revenue expenses and review all financial statements and investment statements. Rob Steinman, our chair, has also, our treasurer rather, has also chaired the Finance Committee for the past 2 years. Quite simply, you can find the financial statement from fiscal year 2019, the unaudited statement, in your on the back pages of the annual report. But basically, ever since we increased our assessment revenue 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we have stayed right on target with our long-term projections for our expenses and revenue, obviously. So there are no surprises, and we don't anticipate any surprises. In fact, we've actually run below what some of our projected budget numbers were. Fortunately, we had budgeted some additional security and sanitation expenses due to our proximity to Trump Tower, and to date, that hasn't really impacted us substantially. And in this, again, I thank the board for guidance, because some of our trash receptacles and recycling receptacles are getting close to 2 decades old, and we're having hinge problems and hardware problems. We were looking at replacing them. The board suggested going back and fixing, retrofitting them, and we actually found a contractor who could do that for a fraction of the cost that it would take to replace them. So again, a good instance where hands-on board helped save the organization money, which is, by the way, the board, of course, remember, our ratepayers, so it's your money too, right? So as we prepare our budgets, we always keep the financial burden on our ratepayers foremost in mind. And again, the board of directors representing close to, it's over a quarter, it's close to a third of the commercial property in the district, 27 million square feet of commercial space. They, of course, are premier ratepayers of the district. Our effective billing rate is about 13 cents per square foot of commercial space, and that remains lower than most other business improvement districts in the city. We like to think we give great value for that low rate. Again, a summary of our information, financial information from fiscal year 2019 that ended last June is available in your packet. You should also know that for the last 9 years, we've invested our reserve revenue in fully insured and laddered certificates of deposit through Morgan Stanley. And right now we have about a 6-month financial cushion, which was planned for and expected in keeping with the best practices of not-for-profit organizations. We obviously understand that expenses will continue to rise every year, but we have anticipated those increases, and we remain committed as an organization to give the district a big bang for its buck for lowest possible cost. And one final note, and that is that we make every effort to keep the East Midtown Partnership finances highly transparent. Our annual budget is always available on our website. Our annual audits for the previous several years are also available on our website. You can access and download them at any time as a downloadable PDF. Actually, my big excitement tomorrow is the auditors are coming in to finalize the fiscal year 2019 books. The audit committee, which is also chaired by Carla, will then review on Christmas Eve, our meeting, and we will have those audited financial statements available for the public no later than December 31st of this year. And that ends the financial review. If there are any questions, I can entertain them, and there aren't. Good. It's a great thing about having kind of dull finances. They're very consistent, but it is your money, and we are very cognizant of that too. I am now going to move to the operations overview. Let me bring up the our Director of Operations for the past 17 years, Bob Iovino. Bob.
Thank you, Rob. And that's true, I've been with the organization for the past 17 years. It's been my pleasure. Basically, what I do is I manage the street operations, the core operations on the street level. What that basically means is security, sanitation, and our homeless outreach components. The security staff is provided by Allied Universal. I have 7 security officers that have been with this organization, some of them since its inception, a lot of them in excess of 10 years, and they are just amazing. I trust them. They're my eyes and ears on the street, and they're very good at what they do. We have a zero tolerance in the district here for illegal vending, and simply because we have a great relationship with the 3 precincts, 17th, 19th, in Midtown North, and my security personnel enforce that. And once upon a time, we used to be able to buy a Louis Vuitton knockoff $25 across the street from Bloomingdale's. That is no longer the case, and will never ever be the case. So we're pretty proud of that track record. The sanitation is provided by the Dole Fund. They do our secure sanitation out on the street. They're the men in blue. They push these big blue buckets, and they're out there from 7:30 in the morning till 7:30 at night. And basically, they do a great job. I won't step on George McDonald's parade, but basically, these guys have not had great lives. A lot of them were formerly incarcerated with drug and alcohol problems, and we've given them an opportunity to better themselves, get some kind of trade skills, some experience, so that way they can enter the general workforce. And lastly, our Bowery Residence Committee is our homeless component here in the district. We're very proud of that also. We track the homeless on a daily basis. My security personnel know each and every homeless person on their post, who they are, where they are, and we relay that information often to Leroy at the Bowery Residents Committee, their street team. They come out, they engage the individual, and our goal is to try and get that person to accept services, get off the street, and provide them with a better life. Sometimes this takes a long time to do, but DRC is tireless in their efforts, and I think we do a pretty good job with that. So pretty much that's it. I'll close by saying, when you see the men in blue out there pushing that bucket, or my security officers, just kind of tap them on the shoulder and say thanks. That speaks volumes often. So happy holidays and good luck to everyone. Okay, this time I'd like to bring up the Doe Fund founder and CEO, George McDonald.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Be my age, you need all of the accoutrements. So I'm very pleased to be here today with our longest standing community partners since 2002. And I'd like to thank Debbie for all of her support. And it's been a real privilege for us to work with you. And I certainly appreciate your remarks before us, we all do. And I'd like to acknowledge the farsighted leadership of East Midtown and individuals like Rob and Debbie, of course, and Bob. Our partnership is based on a mutual understanding of the economic value and contribution our men can make. Every day for the past 17 years, together, we improve the quality of life in our city and impact the lives of individual New Yorkers. I'd like to acknowledge Craig Trotta. Please stand up, Craig. And RWA graduate. He's been with us for 23 years. He's a graduate of our program and has been supervising the Midtown efforts for the past 17 years, and he's a graduate of ours. Also with us is Raymond Jones, who's Craig's right-hand man, and a RWA graduate who's been with us since 2005. And Alex Hunt, who oversees business development for the Doe Fund, is also here. The idea that we work together, we have transitional folks that come through East Midtown 6 to 9 months. But as you can see, the people in our organization who are graduates of our organization supply the continuing supervision. So that's an important part of our concept. Now, just let me briefly give you, the reason why I'm speaking out of order is because I'm privileged to serve you on the Port Authority Board. And we have a board meeting in Jersey City today at 10 o'clock, so you're going over there. But I'd like to take you back to the origin just for 1 minute of the Doe Fund so that you understand what it is that we have accomplished here together, all of us in New York City, for the people at the bottom who need opportunity. We started in 1990 after I fed people in Grand Central Terminal in the 1980s. They used to arrest me for feeding the people, and I got a lot of publicity for that. But, you know, publicity is one thing, but you need to turn it into something to make it of some value. So at that time, they said, what do you want? It was Ed Koch, it was this last year. I said, I want a contract to put homeless people to work. So they gave us one with the HPD. We went out and we repaired vacant city-owned apartments for homeless families to move into. And we did $2 million in our first year of revenue. We have a facility in Bedford-Stuyvesant for 60 men, and that was us. $1 billion later, $1 billion we've done in revenue since 1990. We do $65 million a year now. And we also have built in the past 5 years 1 million square feet of supportive and low-income housing for people who, when they go to work and they earn money, they can then go pay for a place to live. That's a fantastic concept. And we've been really, really very successful at it. And 62% of the people in our program, graduates of our program, 3 years after they leave us and they're employed in the private sector, 62% have no experience with the criminal justice system, and it's just the opposite of that, normally speaking. 60% go back to prison within 3 years. 62% of ours don't go back to prison after 3 years. God bless you. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you, George. We really value our partnership with the Doe Fund. I will say, to talk about that, was built, all the revenue, Bob and I are responsible for some of that because they give us wine at their gala, and next thing you know, you're holding up your auction pad. But it is an extremely worthwhile program, and we are so pleased to work with Raymond and Craig and Alex, of course, and George and everyone else at the Doe Fund. I want to mention, before I bring up our next speaker, we are also, in the interest of transparency, we are also live streaming this meeting today. Our videographer, Dennis Corsi, is over there. We're live streaming it on Facebook. We will eventually be putting it on YouTube. To the best of my knowledge, we're the only city business improvement district that is carrying this live, so that the 100 people or so in this room are not the only people. In fact, last year I think we had about 500 views of our meeting, so it's a way to get the word out about what we're doing and to let the public know that this organization is indeed very open. And which reminds me, I'm supposed to say, hi Marika, if you're watching. Keeping on the operations side, another partnership we've had for 17 years now is with BRC, the Power Residence Committee, which has provided homeless outreach services and brought hundreds of people off the streets of East Midtown over the years. And now I would like to call up Brian Moriarty from BRC to say a few words. Brian.
Thank you. I made a note to invite you guys to our gala in June. Wow, 17 years. That's a long, long time. And if I can be honest, I don't think you guys take enough credit for what you guys do. If you think about going back 17 years, how many business improvement districts decided to reach out to homeless service organizations and be a positive change and say, we have homeless people in our zone, and we want to do something better for them. And if you think about some of the homeless people that we engage in your zone, they've fallen through one safety net after another, after another, after another, and they end up on your streets. And a lot of people think when you call homeless outreach, it's they're going to show up and homeless person is not going to be there anymore. But that's not the case. If you look at, and I'm going to be a little social worker for just less than 30 seconds, if you look at the number of traumas and tragedies and things that these guys and men and women have gone through, that first contact is very important. And often that first contact is with the security officers, the cleaning crews, who see somebody as a person, not as a nuisance, not as a problem, but as a person who needs help. And then they call us and we go and try and engage them, and we try and build on that personal relationship. And so it's not, let's move them here, or let's move them out of the zone. It's like, how can we connect with them? And I think that's a very rare thing, going back 17 years, going back this year, and hundreds of people have been helped through that. And just give a shout out to the Doe Fund as well. When we talk to a lot of people that have ended up on the street, they have voted with their feet, right? They have tried somewhere and left, and gone somewhere and left. But when they hear the Doe Fund, they hear BRC facilities, their ears perk up because they know these programs work. And so, oh, if you can get me to the Doe Fund, I'll go tomorrow. You know, those type of things. Or if you can get me here. And so we work with our funders and we work with people and we try and get them to those locations that they know they'll go. That doesn't happen immediately. And they need to build up trust again because everywhere they've gone, they've heard no. You know, as a long-term outreach worker, and we're training a lot of new outreach workers and bringing in new outreach workers on, one of the challenging things when you go out in the field for 8 hours is actually to find restrooms to use, right? And so it gets us thinking, and I use this example when I train new outreach workers, about you're going out in the field for 7 hours and you're thinking about using the restroom and doing this, this, and this. Imagine our clients. Everywhere they go, they're told no here, you can't use the restroom here. If they go to get benefits, it's give me your name and social security number. Well, someone going through trauma or falling through these safety nets are received like that. It's very challenging for them to get over that threshold. And so everywhere they hear is no, no, no. But the way we work it here, at least Midtown, that's a little bit different. Wardell or his group sees someone, they call us. You guys see someone, they call us. And then we go up and we try and change not that no, but into a yes, right? To the, what are you interested in working on? Because if you walk up and say, hey, you want shelter? The answer's going to be no, and then where do we go from there? And so it's that human connection that we've been doing with East Midtown, Bob and his crew, and Rob, everyone that of you, Debbie, with the board, for the last 17 years. It's a great honor for us to do that. And so I just want to thank you guys again, and I'll pass it on to the rest of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And actually, as long as you're here, it reminds me, I forgot to call you guys, but we, last month the board met and we did approve your contract again for 2020.
I hope Buzzing's watching on Facebook.
I did, yeah.
We're still inviting you to Dallas.
I'm there. I'd now actually like to bring, is the borough president here yet?
Yes.
Oh, she is, okay, good. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna bring both of our elected officials up, and they can just kind of stand here and pass the mic back and forth. We're thrilled with the vote here. Borough President Gail Brewer and City Council Member Pete Powers. Get a little banter going with our electeds.
We do a traveling show.
Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you for your sense of humor, and to your wonderful chair. And it's an honor to be here with Keith Powers. We do work well together. So I just want to say how great your bid is. You know, in the Borough President's Office, we really have 4 mandates, and I know in the City Council it's a little bit easier to understand. But number 1 is zoning, and we work a lot with the City Council. But I want to thank Rob because the East Midtown was a very long process. And he participated in every meeting, and now in 2019, I think we see some of the positive results in terms of JP Morgan. We can talk more about that. In terms of the Hyatt, which is coming down, and we're going to have a new building there right next to Grand Central. These are big projects, but they include public space, they include support for our landmarks, and they include support for the transit. And those are the 3 goals, I believe, of East Midtown. So Rob and the bid had a big say in this. I want to say thank you. Secondly, we appoint, along with the City Council, about 1,000 people in the borough of Manhattan, and that includes the community boards. That is due on the 20th of January, that application. And we really do want businesses to support and be on the community board. So if that is of interest to you, please put that application in. We also appoint to the Solid Waste Advisory Board. We have the most active SWAB, it's part of the charter of all 5 borough presidents. And they're working on the local Green Deal. They're working on organics and all the issues that some of you in this room know even better than I do. We have about 50 people also on that, and I have to say the Durst organization in particular is really helpful. We meet in their spaces, and they are very supportive. We also appoint to the hospital boards. We appoint to the bids, ex officio, cultural boards, and the list goes on. School boards too. So again, if you have any interest, it's all up on our website. Third, obviously we allocate funding, and I just want to say back to the appointments, we train people. Unlike any other borough, we have training in ethics, we have training in parliamentary procedure, and obviously land use and budgeting. It's almost like an academic course, and people can take it whether or not they are on any of these boards. Third, of course, is we allocate funding, working with the City Council to the culturals and the parks and the schools. And then, of course, with the council, we can introduce legislation The one that we have done most recently is the vacancy bill. That is a discussion that we work with owners as well as businesses, and what it says is that every owner of a building that has a vacancy in commercial, by the end of 2020, you'll have to indicate that. When you, hopefully not extra paperwork, the last thing I want to do is give any New Yorker more paperwork. But I believe it can be done very easily, and then we'll have data as opposed to people like me making it up, because we have really no idea where there are vacancies. Census is the other big topic. We all know it's coming up. We have a complete count committee for the Borough of Manhattan. It's meeting Monday at 3 o'clock in our office at 1 Center Street. You're welcome to participate. We have been working, we allocate some funding, for instance, to groups that are working with the clergy, coming up with how are they going to be talking to their parishioners and their congregants. We allocated funding to those who are working with the homebound, because we want to make sure that those individuals are filling out the forms. We also are working with those who are 0 to 5, which means all the pediatricians. That is an undercount like none other. People forget that that is a human being who needs to be counted. And the list goes on. The city's allocations are out. They also have allocated funding. And the state money will be actually going to the counties, which means Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Bronx. And so that funding is also going to be allocated in the near future. Business is important. It's interesting to me that when we met with the speaker the other day, that in terms of education funding, just to give you an example of the challenges, in 2010, because New York was 61% and the rest of the country was 72% in terms of funding, in terms of filling out the forms, we lost $1.7 billion in education funding. And that is the same amount that the state is owed us if you go way back on that lawsuit that some of you may be aware of. All we had to do was fill out forms. Didn't even cost anything. It was all coming from the federal government. So you get the sense of how important this is. I think you know the list of the funding. So I just want to say thank you to East Midtown Passport Program. Thank you for so many ways in which you are being cutting edge. That is number one. The issue of you are, to the best of my knowledge, the only bid that is live streaming. I'm going to make all the other ones very jealous. I'm going to tell them how great you are and what the hell is wrong with them. Because you're not the biggest, but you're the best in terms of technology. And that's really, really important. I just want to also just mention that as we talk about the East Midtown, one of the other topics in addition to what's going to happen in Grand Central area and what's going to happen with JP Morgan, both of them are coming up with open space and transit and landmark support, just as I indicated. It was kind of ironic to us because some of them wanted to go around it. And we pointed out that we spent 2 freaking years talking about these issues, and it was darn well they were going to follow the rules, and they got the message. But also, I think what's been going on at One Vanderbilt, I'm very supportive, again, following all the ways in which we've been looking at this. The train shed, I think the so-called guinea pigs are going to be the folks at JP Morgan, because they're going to have to look at what is under the cover of this train shed. And I would love to have your input as to what it should look like. Some people say, and this is controversial, I'm sure, because if there's anything not controversial in Manhattan, please let me know, because I haven't met it yet. But the issue would be, what should the Park Avenue train shed above ground look like? Obviously, it has to be fixed below. Will we be a high line on the east side? I don't know. But these are the topics that are coming up, and we definitely need your input. And then just finally, I just want to say, just like everybody else, the work you've been doing, as you heard earlier from others with the homeless is, again, very, very supportive, and in a way perhaps like no other did. You have a lot of great ideas coming out between Rob and your board, and I want to say thank you. Even the work you're doing with the high school, I know that school extremely well. And it has a brand new principal who's a dear friend of mine. You have the best school and now the very best partnership in so many different ways. Congratulations, and let me give you a wonderful council member, Keith Powers.
Thank you. Good morning. Nice to see everybody. I think I followed Gail Brewer, and it's really, not only did she steal my material, she's a hard person to follow anyway. But nice to see you. I'm City Council Member Keith Powers. I represent the Midtown area in the City Council. I got elected, for those I haven't met yet, it's my second year in the City Council. And I want to reiterate how much I love working with everybody here, but including Rob and the folks at East Midtown Partnership. I don't have nearly as many bids as Gail does, but I do have a lot. I think I can. And this is always one that's consistently on top of the issues, whether it's about supporting businesses, whether it's about homelessness, working with BRC, or the other issues that come through. I'll just take just a couple add-ons to what the borough president said around East Midtown is. I didn't have to sit through those 2 years of grinding out, trying to figure out the zoning. I got here when the projects were ready to start building. And we did actually approve the JP Morgan headquarters back in May, which is a very big win for the city, and I think understated at times, because we did have a major business here in the city that was looking around where to locate themselves. Not only were they looking around the city, but they'd also entertained offers out in New Jersey and other places in the area. And being able to change the rules in terms of how they can site themselves in New York City means that they can stay here right in Midtown, and they can stay here right in New York City. And for businesses like the one we're sitting in right now, I talked to restaurant owners who were very happy that they were going to have to keep that sort of presence here in the city. And I went to a holiday party one other day, and he hugged me because he said, just having that type of economic activity in Midtown and in the city is good for all those supporting businesses in addition to the tax revenue of the city. So we approved that plan in May. As the borough president said, we have a number of other projects that will be coming through the rezonings and the land use process as a result of that, but it is so far a success. We are seeing projects that we did not even anticipate coming forward and saying we want to do something with our property as well. That is good for the tax base, that is good for jobs and economic development, it's good for just the aesthetic of New York as buildings decide to reinvest in themselves. We have a lot happening. The borough president and I both helped chair a governing group of East Midtown, where we actually then go out and we receive some funds from those projects and we spend them on improvements throughout the district. We're always welcome. I think we actually have a meeting tomorrow, but we always have meetings throughout the year. We're always interested in hearing projects that we think are good projects in Midtown that are worth investing in around the public realm and plazas, sidewalk expansion, things like that. So you can always bring us projects, bring them to Rob if you think there are other things we should be looking at. Second is, when we talk about businesses, my predecessor, working with many of the colleagues in the city council, passed a piece of legislation to provide some relief on a thing called the commercial rent tax. And I know, see, you're nodding. But essentially, if you're a business located here in Manhattan, you have to pay an extra tax relative to other businesses throughout the city. If you're north of 96th Street, you don't have to pay it. If you're in Long Island City or Williamsburg or any other part of the city, you don't have to pay this tax. And for many businesses, it might be equivalent to about a month's rent that could be back into their business and back into their pocket. And so starting with my predecessor, he actually put in a bill that would start providing relief on that, because it's just unfair. It's just unfair that you could be at 95th Street, you don't pay, but a restaurant on 97th Street has to pay, or another business on 87th Street has to pay. Or that as we compete with each other now in different neighborhoods, between Manhattan and bustling neighborhoods like Williamsburg, that you have to compete and have to pay this extra cost. I've actually introduced legislation recently to continue that effort, to try to repeal that tax and peel away at it. It's unfair, and it does affect competition, it does affect the livelihood. There are businesses that, even if they're paying a lot of rent, are still operating on thin margins that money can have real meaning to. So I introduced that bill not so long ago. We're going to try to build an effort and get a hearing on the city council on that. We certainly would appreciate that all the bids or any businesses that feel impacted by it to come out. It would roll back that tax some more, try to let businesses have a little bit more money to spend on themselves and not give it to the city of New York, although we like to take the money often. But we think it would just put a little bit more opportunity into the business's hands. So look out for that as well. And if you feel like you're an impacted business, you should definitely come forward, and we'd love for you to testify or share your particular anecdotes and stories. And lastly, I think we touched on homelessness. I walked in right as BRC was giving their presentation. I think that announced that their contract got renewed as well. It is getting very cold out. This is a very obviously difficult difficult time for many people in the city. In addition to all the work that's being done to go out and talk to folks and actually do street outreach to get people housed, to get people to shelters. Do consider what, this season, also pitching into that. My office is doing a toy drive for low-income families. I know many other offices are doing sort of toy drives or coat drives. If your business or organization can be helpful, please do. And also just be mindful of those who are out there in cold days like today who could use a little bit of a helping hand or even a coffee or something else. So just please do keep an eye for that as you're out there, because this is both an existing problem for the city, but on cold days like today, be particularly mindful of that. With that being said, I just want to say happy holidays. Thank you to all that Rob and the East Midtown Partnership does for this district year-round to make sure that those issues, we get phone calls when we need to get the agencies out, but you guys have such a good team here doing it. So thank you, and Happy New Year and Happy Holidays.
And thank you, both Keith Powers and Gail Brewer. Good common sense leadership on the municipal level, and we appreciate it. Again, I'm going to jump out of order only because I looked at my phone and I saw the time is moving right along. Is Carl Lendiger here? Carl? Okay, I guess I'm not jumping that far out of order. In that case, why don't we, I'm going to turn it over to, two things. One, board members, please don't leave when this meeting is over. We'll give another short organizational meeting for the new board of directors. And actually, while I'm thinking of it, the train shed, that is work that will have to be done under Park Avenue. Barbara McLaughlin and I, Barbara's on the board, she represents the fund for Park Avenue. We went to meet with the MTA's or Metro North's consultants back in October. And it's work that has to be done, so we'll take the most advantage of it and see that those Park Avenue malls are rebuilt and redesigned at the same time in a way that satisfies us all. So it's a way that we can incorporate improving the area at the same time doing necessary infrastructure work. And now I would like to turn this over to our Director of Marketing and Beautification, Sarah Hornung, who was named, by the way, as I think you all know, last month is in October, is one of City and State Magazine's 40 Under 40. Sarah.
All right, thanks everyone. I'm Sarah. I talk with my hands too much for a handheld mic, so I'm going to do my best here. It's so good to see all of you. I'm going to run through some highlights of the last calendar year. Before I begin, I'll mention photos. Everything that I'm talking about are in pages 4 through 7 of the annual report that you should have in front of you. And they're also updated slideshows on our Instagram. So for those of you who follow us, that's easy to navigate to. For those of us who don't, I put the information on the agenda. For the last few years, I haven't had to make huge changes to my remarks. Our large-scale events and programs have been somewhat fixed, and I've updated details and numbers and specifics. That's not the case in 2019. Our events and programs calendar really saw changes in the last year, starting with the new year. Last February, working with our colleagues at the Grand Central Partnership, the Madison Avenue Business Improvement District, and the Chinatown Partnership, we set up 3 wishing trees on Madison Avenue, one in each of our uptown districts. About 3 dozen participating retailers gave away ribbons, red ribbons, to shoppers, who could then inscribe them with their wishes for the new year and tie them, or if they were particularly daring, toss them into the trees. Hanging wishes on wishing trees for New Year is synonymous with good luck and good fortune. It's a practice believed to encourage your dreams to come true. It's also just a lot of fun. As many of you know, this is a big change for us. In our past 3 years, our Lunar New Year events have included lion dancers, visiting stores along Madison Avenue, cultural performances in the Harmon store, and family activities. We started these Lunar New Year celebrations back in 2015, planning in 2015, the celebration in 2016, when the Lunar New Year was first added to the New York City school calendar. Because our businesses were asking us about ways to appeal to Chinese-speaking visitors and Chinese-speaking New Yorkers. As recently as 2015, 2016, Lunar New Year was a little bit less widely celebrated here in New York. In the last almost 4 years, a lot has changed very quickly. Starting in January this year, you will see Lunar New Year windows, Lunar New Year merchandise, celebrations, many of which will incorporate lion dancers, performances, and family activities. And so our event became less novel over time, and that was a big part of what led us to change it last year. This was one of the factors. So last year was a little bit of a trial run, a way to sort of test the waters. Wishing trees were something that weren't being done in the city, and they weren't being done, as far as I can tell, outside, anywhere in the U.S. I'm happy to say that they were a great success and a really fun activation. We had hundreds of people adding wishes, hundreds of people taking pictures of them, and people just wrote the loveliest and most heartfelt wishes on their ribbon, which I did not expect. And so we're so happy with it that we're going to expand it in 2020. The details aren't finalized yet, but we'll have a series of trees in the district. We'll have a series of trees along Madison north of us too. I hope you'll consider hanging a ribbon. So as soon as Lunar New Year concluded, as Debbie mentioned, we sort of turned wholeheartedly to World Pride. In June, the city welcomed World Pride and marked the 50th anniversary of Stonewall, and the city really rolled out the red carpet to welcome more than 4 million visitors to celebrate and commemorate. We did our best to attract New Yorkers and visitors alike for the month-long series of programs. Throughout the month of June, at 9 different locations here in East Midtown, we displayed 18 panels from the AIDS Memorial quilt. This was part of a statewide effort to display panels of the AIDS quilt. There were about 50 panels on display at other locations here in Manhattan. There were also panels at the Governor's Mansion in Albany. I'm thrilled to say that of all who signed up to display panels, which includes high-profile commercial spaces in the city, Brookfield Place, Hudson Yards, we were the first and the largest supporter of this effort. We were also the only bid that got involved and the only neighborhood that came together to display quilts across an area. Our quilts were on display in the lobbies of 110 East 59th Street, 150 East 58th Street, the A&D building, 527 Madison Avenue, 875 3rd Avenue, and then also in 59 Efficient Theaters, Central Synagogue's Community House, the gallery, on the ground floor at the High School of Art and Design, and the IKEA Planning Studio on 3rd Avenue. These displays generated not only a great deal of foot traffic, they also sparked important conversations. They reminded visitors that World Pride wasn't just a celebration, but it was a commemoration. Of all the World Pride programming that we undertook, I'll get into the next two pieces next. I'll say that displaying these quilt painters is something that I'm particularly proud of. It's not something we've undertaken in the bid in the past, and the quilts themselves memorialized New Yorkers who lost their lives. So in addition to the commemoration, we coordinated a charitable program throughout the district. Throughout June, we had 18 businesses designate a special Pride product or item and agreed to donate 25% of sales throughout the month to the Trevor Project, which is the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for LGBTQ young people. Through the generosity of our businesses and those who purchased the items, thousands of dollars were raised. And then last, of course, we partied. On June 21st, we partnered with the SUNY Global Center and the entire SUNY system to host a student training day and a block party on East 55th Street. In the morning, students participated in a violence reduction leadership training seminar and a panel discussion with notable SUNY alum and a few prominent East Midtowners. And then in the afternoon, as many of you saw, and as many of you may have heard, we had a party from noon to 4 on East 55th Street, featuring music by activist and DJ Zeke Thomas, lively appearances and performances by the Fashion Institute of Technology's drag pageant winners, an art exhibition, resource booths, confetti, and a seating area. And then we also invited students and alumni and community members to participate in assemblage of SUNY's Got Your Back backpacks. SUNY's Got Your Back is a SUNY-wide system-wide volunteer effort to create comfort kits for victims and survivors of violence and to learn methods to better prevent and respond to violence. All the backpacks that we assembled for the 21st were delivered to New York City LGBTQ charities. This is the first time that New York was the World Pride location. It's a singular location every year. It will certainly not happen again soon. So we're thrilled to be so involved and to show our support and to make a strong effort to draw the LGBTQ community to our neighborhood. And we have some plans to be involved in NYC Pride going forward, but it will likely be a bit smaller. And then, of course, this fall, as Debbie mentioned, we hosted our 5th Trick or Treat with East Midtown. Because of construction at Tramway Plaza, we moved the event to the plaza outside 919 3rd Avenue last year, and we continue to welcome families there this year. We're incredibly grateful to SL Green for allowing us to do that on their plaza space. It's a really great location. It's really well located within the district, and it sends families out to visit all of our businesses. The event itself, as Debbie says, continues to be a huge success, and it's an exhausting but extremely fun day for Rob and I. We had a record 102 businesses participate and welcome trick-or-treaters this year. We've never cracked the 100 mark before, so I'm very excited about that. We estimate that we had about 4,000 people visit us, and then in sort of a thrilling moment, it had rained Monday through Wednesday all week, and then Thursday morning as we were setting up, the clouds parted on Thursday afternoon, and for about 4 hours when we had trick-or-treaters in the district, we had clouds but no rain. For the first time, we surveyed families who attended the event. I won't go into lengthy detail about that, but again, it just sort of reinforces what a terrific event this is for us. A few highlights of that: 99% of the families that we surveyed either rated the event overall good or very good. 96% they would be likely to return. And 94% said they would definitely be visiting participating businesses as a result of the event. And then demographically, 60% of our survey visitors are from our immediate east side zip codes, and then the remaining 40% represent truly a whole range of New Yorkers, all 5 boroughs. So it goes without saying, Halloween will happen for a 6th time in 2020. On the beautification side, hopefully you noticed that we continue to plant 3 cycles of annuals at almost 150 tree beds throughout the district. We incorporate a lot of new tree beds this summer. As sort of construction continues, more and more become available. So if you have a tree bed you'd like us to plant, just let us know. And then our holiday lights and banners are up, and you should be able to see them as you came in, maybe, or as you leave. So I'll just quickly conclude by thanking everybody who's been so essential to our success. Our photographer, Ron, who's right over there, zigzagged all around the district to photograph all 18 quilts at 9 locations and all 18 Pride participating businesses and all of their merchandise and our block party. And he's probably photographing you right now. Us walking today, but we're very grateful to Ron for that. I listed out all of the quilt locations, but I want to take a moment to list the 18 businesses in the district that supported the Trevor Project. Amali, Bianca Jewelers, The Blasket, Moons, Caligaris, Cobinet, Eileen Lane Antiques, Hammer Slemmer, Jeffrey, Just Bulbs, Kirsten Lab, Crown Wine Bar, La Cava, Madi Hair Salon, Padoka Bakery, Pescatore, The Regency, and Sweet Catch. And then I want to thank quickly our board member from SUNY, Johanna Kendrick Holmes, who has coordinated SUNY's involvement with Pride for the past years, and who heard in a Pride steering committee meeting that there was interest in displaying quilts, but there weren't any locations to do so yet. And she immediately thought of East Midtown, and she connected us. And she was my incredible partner in a block party, and none of this really would have been possible without Johanna, again, as an engaged board member and engaged member of our community. All the businesses that welcome trick-or-treaters on Halloween, I will spare you listing all 102 of them. Again, I'm very excited about 100. I was tempted, but I'll spare you. SL Green, again, for hosting us so generously. And then our PR team from Sunshine Sacks. Last year at this event, I made a point to highlight the dramatic upward trajectory of press mentions since we began our relationship with them almost 5 years ago. I have been remiss this year in keeping a tally of our press mentions, but I'm going to make sure to do that and get it up on our website. We really appreciate the work that Sunshine does for us to help us refine ideas and to drive attention to the work that we do. And so then my last comment before I conclude is to add my voice to thank Debbie for all of her work and service as our chair for the last 11 years. And to thank her for her interest and support of all of our marketing activities. And to say, Steve, No pressure. Big shoes. And so that in the annual report in front of you, you'll see a complete list of businesses that participated in our programs in the last year. I am thrilled to say that list represents yet again a record high. We had to make the type smaller, actually. And so Rob and I continue to field inquiries, and you'll hear from the newer members of our community. Almost on a daily basis, we hear from new businesses, established businesses, businesses with new management, city and state agencies, nonprofits that are in the district that want to be more involved, media. And so it's really thrilling that the community, again, continues to respond to us in such a constant and positive way. And we really look forward to all 2020 has in store. Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. I look for more exciting programming to come. Now is Carl here? Yeah. Okay. Now I'd like to bring up Carl Lendiger from the High School of Art and Design. When you came in, you should have picked up some information on their internship program. They'll explain a little bit more. We are, wow, and our agenda's back in order again.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your time, East Midtown. We have several students working within your community. Again, I am Carl Landager. I am a teacher at the High School of Art and Design, which I happen to think is the best public high school in the entire world. I am also the internship coordinator. You have a worksheet with all the information about our program. We have been a public high school. We're celebrating our 83rd or 4th year. And one thing that I've just found is that through the internship program, I go on several work site visits. And one thing I found that's so surprising is not that many people know about our school. We've had alumni such as Calvin Klein, Mark Jacobs, several of our illustrators have gone on to be fantastic painters, known all around the world, as well as folks from Marvel Comics and DC Comics. So I'm really surprised to hear that a lot of these work sites don't know our school. We're actually located on 56th Street between 2nd and 3rd. If you ever want to come by and visit, you can email me and I'd love to give you a tour. We've been running our internship program for about 15 years. I've been on this is my 3rd year as the internship coordinator. And within the 2 years that I've been the internship coordinator, we've gone from 82 internships to close to 200 internships for this year. So what I'm here for is the ask. So we want even more internships if possible. We have a plethora of talented students across 8 creative disciplines. We have photography, film, fashion, graphic design, illustration, cartooning. I'm sure I'm missing one of them, but you can check us out on our website, artdesignhs.org. And what's great about our students is that our school is a career and technical school. So everything that we do at Art and Design is highly focused on developing their careers. So they have professional soft skills and they have highly technical skills. So for example, if you need a graphic designer to work on marketing material, we can provide you with that. Oop, I forgot architecture. We have tons of people in the D&D building. Our architecture students are certified in AutoCAD as well as Revit, 2 standard industry programs. And if you ever need a documentary done on possibly your workplace, we can do that with our film department. We have photographers. We have everything that you can think of creatively. And our process is very, very simple. What we do is that I will come by to conduct a site visit just to make sure the place is safe. I haven't been to an unsafe work site as of yet, so that's good. And we will conduct a host application. The visit takes about 15 to 30 minutes in total. What's nice about this is that once you fill out the host application, pretty much you don't have to do anything but be a mentor to our students. I take care of all of the paperwork, and what's great about this program is that it's sponsored by the DOE, so insurance is covered, everything is covered under the New York State labor laws. We're working with minors as well. So again, and just asking all the businesses within this community, if you would like to take on an intern and be a mentor to fantastic young people, please reach out to me. My phone number and email address is on the worksheet. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Carl. And please, by the way, do take Carl up on his offer to see the school. The talent is phenomenal there, and they have it all on display within the school. And on the ground floor canning gallery also. So, make sure I didn't forget anybody on page 1. I'd like to do a very quick awards presentation. Very quick, I promise. Could I ask Steve Cherniak and Barbara McLaughlin to step forward, please? Steve and Barbara have now completed 10 years of service on the board of directors. Steve, Barbara, actually I have one for Joanne too. And Joanne, please also. So congratulations and thank you both. I am, obviously we don't have the same board as we did back in 2002 when I started, with the exception of Martin Presner, I should say. Martin's been on since the beginning, Debbie almost since the beginning, but it's great that board members with long tenure, and we are adding new people all the time, as Debbie said earlier. But board members with tenure and institutional knowledge are extremely valuable to us. We seldom see people go off of the board voluntarily. Sometimes their building gets sold, sometimes they decide to retire. We really appreciate their participation. Thank you. And again, Joanne will get her picture at the luncheon on Tuesday, okay? I guess I'm up now, but I'll be quick. By the way, I did, when I went to check the time, on my phone, I also figured, let me take a quick look on Facebook and see. We've already had about 200 people tuned into this meeting, so we're doing all right. I'm going to be very quick. And actually, I'm not even going to pay attention to most of these notes because I'll just be retreading ground you've heard from others. Next month it'll be 18 years for me at this organization, and I have loved every minute of it. I'm not saying this is a prelude to saying I'm retiring. I'm not, because it's every day it's different. It's sometimes not really. Sometimes it can be a little frustrating, but for the most part, I'm very happy, and it's exciting. And the big thing I'm looking forward to these days now, as Gail Brewer and Keith Powers both mentioned, we had a recent rezoning. The area is going to be changing significantly. Gail mentioned at 270 Park Avenue, the building that JP Morgan Chase is going to tear down and rebuild. It's kind of funny, actually, I got a call back in September, October, I guess. Wall Street Journal called, and I'll talk to you. It's not in our district. It's like 2 blocks out. But I was like, I'll happily talk to you about rezoning and what rebuilding 270 Park Avenue means to our community. I got a call a few weeks ago from another reporter from the Journal, and we were talking, and he has something specific about that property that I didn't know, and I was like, I don't know, but my colleagues at Grand Central Partnership can probably give you some information. He goes, oh, it's not in your bid? I mean, you know, I just spent 20 minutes talking to you, and it's like, so it's like, I'll talk to anybody. I mean, you know, our district boundaries are, you really have to have been with the organization for 15, 20 years to know exactly what's in and out of the district. But the rezoning is going to have significant impact. Right now, though, some of the big projects that are going on in our district are not part of the rezoning process, but they're going to be very exciting, and they're coming online, I should say, in the next 1-2 years. I'm thinking of 56th Street specifically right now. Coincidentally, on one end, anchored by the High School of Art and Design by 2nd Avenue. On the western end of East 56th Street in our district is 550 Madison Avenue, which is being redeveloped, formerly known as the Sony Building. And that'll be coming, I believe they're intending to open their doors in late 2020. So I'm, just for the sake of argument, I'm going to say 2021, because we all know these things never quite go totally according to schedule. And we're thrilled that representatives of Chelsfield America, who are co-developing that site, are coming on the board of directors. But it's going to be a beautiful, huge new atrium. Very excited about what it's going to bring to the community. And again, not subject to the rezoning, but the building will be a new, modern, amenity-rich addition to East Midtown. Go a block further to Park Avenue, and you've got 425 Park Avenue, which has been under redevelopment for quite a while. Again, not subject to rezoning, but that's going to be a very exciting building, and that's supposed to be opening, again, I think they're saying next year, so let's see. But they've topped out, they're really putting the finishing touches on it, so actually that one probably 2020 is realistic. Again, though, a major addition to the Class A office space in this district that will be, they've already secured a huge anchor tenant, and I think it is going to be, in addition to 432 Park Avenue across the street, and the new Phillips Auction House space, that really bodes well for that section of Park Avenue. Then, going one more block east, we get to the corner of 56 and Lex, and which is my segue, because I said I'm not going to talk long, so it's a good way to segue to that. The development that's going in there is Sunrise at 56, which is, or Sunrise on East 56, I think that right. And that is going to be a high-end assisted living facility. Beautiful place. Sarah and I met with them a few weeks ago. Very excited that they're coming to the neighborhood. And it also will cement this area. But in addition to being an international center for the decorative arts, home decor, interior design, in addition to having some of the finest restaurants and nightlife in the city of New York, this area is also, of course, a central hub for health and wellness. So Sunrise on East 56 is going to be a perfect addition to that, which is a great way to introduce Joanne Ryan and Tom Canna from Sunrise at East 56. All right, there. They can tell you a little bit more than I can about what they've got coming, but we're excited.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joanne Ryan, and this is Tom Canna. We will be managing the property at Sunrise at 56th Street, which is projected to open in June of 2020. So what that means for our community is we will be licensed from the Department of Health, and we will be providing 14 residential living floors. Out of the 14 residential living floors, 7 of those floors will be memory care, and 7 of them will provide assisted living. So again, we are slotted to open about June of 2020. If you are interested in speaking to us, we are actually located on 57th Street, because we obviously cannot be in the community as it's being constructed. So our email addresses are available, as well as we are located at 139, no, sorry, that's the address of the building. 139 East 56 is the community. Our sales office is at 116 East 57. And I look forward to speaking with everyone in the near future. Thank you.
Excuse me. So again, this is a community on the move. We're excited about what the next year, 5 years, 10 years have in store for us. When back in 2002, when I started here, I hardly ever came over here because there wasn't a reason to come to East Midtown as far as I could see. It was quieter. It was, I don't want to over exaggerate. There were always things to do here, but it was not. It was a very corporate community, and after work hours, it got quiet. And now what we're seeing is a lot of new residential development in the area, which brings with it the related businesses to support the residential community. And without hurting the commercial stock. So we're getting a much more mixed 24/7 community. You can walk almost anywhere in the district at any time of day or night now and see people on the streets. New developments like Sunrise 56 are just going to add to that character of the neighborhood. I have also got a text from the people collecting the ballots, so we do know that I can allow Carla to bring back up so she can announce the results, because the slate was approved, but you can make that announcement.
Announcement on election results. With a voting majority casting their ballots in person or by proxy, I'd like to announce the election of the nominated slate of candidates to the Board of Directors. Thank you, and please contact the East Midtown Partnership Office if you're interested in joining the Board of Directors in the future.
Congratulations. Congratulations to those who were elected or re-elected. A reminder again, by the way, to all the board members who are either have their terms ongoing until next year or were just elected this, we're going to meet immediately following this meeting. We can even pop right in here. The rest of you can stay and have coffee. We just have to have an organizational meeting. Time to close. Debbie, do you have any additional remarks you want to close?
Thank you again,
Sounds good to me. Again, I do want to encourage anyone that wants to get more involved with us, please do. Anyone that's interested in becoming a member of the Board of Directors, please inquire. If you don't already get our weekly email blast, contact us. Really stay in touch with what's going on in the community. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Steve Cherniak, second. James Melios. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next year. Happy holidays.